So someone requested that I do a girl tag of some sort. So I looked up the questions. I'm gonna answer the questions as is. Give me a sec so I can see. Alright. So they asked the first question of what are you mixed with? For me, I am mixed with a lot of things. And I guess I'll be extensive since this is a mixed girl tag. Right. Makes sense. So I am on my dad's side Creole and Cajun. His mother's mother is Cajun, and his mother's father is Louisiana Creole. They both are from Louisiana. One's from New Orleans, one's from Ledger. And then his dad's side, I don't. Okay, so he is half Dominican, and then the other side, he is his mother is 3/4 black and 1/4 Blackfoot Indian. So that's basically all that my dad is. He's, Cajun, Creole, Dominican, and Black and Blackfoot Indian, Native American. So he has some Native American heritage. On my mom's side, they are, in my opinion, I just think of them as black. But that side of the family does identify as mixed race too. So I guess you could say they're mixed race too. I don't know. Do a lot of Black Americans identify as mixed race? I don't know. Like, I've seen other Black American families, and I always see that they put down that they're mixed race. So I never really know. Like, what's the difference? Anyway, so for what's said on that side, well, my mom's, what is it? Her grandfather is biracial, I think. And then her mother's side, her grandfather has some Native American way back. So, at that point, I consider them black. And that's how I was raised. On to the next question. What ethnicity have you been mistaken for? Well, this gets a lot more tricky of an answer. So you're saying, what race am I confused for? Are we saying what am I mixed with that people confuse me for, or are we saying something that's out of the norm? As for me, biologically, I had basically every heritage besides Chinese, Japanese, or Central Asian. Oh, or South Asian. Oh, but that is one that I actually do get confused for, now that I think of it. Indian is one that I actually get mistaken for quite often, weirdly. And I don't think I have any South Asian in me. No, that's, really odd. I always want South Asian. How? Yeah, so it's just weird. I actually do have a little Nepalese, but I think that's East Asian. It's not Southeast Asian, I think. Anyway, then on top of it, it's there are other things that I'm confused for ethnically that I'm not, so I guess those count too. Yeah. So I've been confused for Brazilian before, and I'm not Brazilian at all. I've been confused for Cuban. I've never really been confused for Dominican, weirdly. Puerto Rican has happened a few times. Is weird. One Mexican guy thought I was Mexican. What? And then there are other times when people think I'm North African, Ethiopian. North African, I don't like to say that's a mistake because I'm actually mixed with North African. But East African, like Ethiopian, I'm not Ethiopian. But people always confuse me for that too. Yeah, there's quite a few things. Sometimes people even call me Middle Eastern. I just am like, you're just a little ignoramus, aren't you? To me, I mean, like, what? You don't even know. You didn't even say like like Saudi Arabian or Yemeni or Omani or Syrian. You just said Middle Eastern, you know? And I mean, like, obviously I don't look like any of those people. So that's why I'm like, you obviously are ignorant. So like people, when they talk about Middle Eastern people, they start talking about Indians and Ethiopians and North Africans, and it's like Middle East is one part of Asia. Please stop getting out of into South Asia or North Africa or any other place. Please just stay in that region, okay? Alright, end of that. Next question. So, is your hair curly or straight? Wavy, I guess. My natural hair is wavy. On my first video, that's my natural hair texture. It's wavy, I guess. I guess it could be curly. It's a 2, so that's wavy. So, yeah. And then on to the next one. Was coming from different backgrounds challenging growing up? Now that is a very... I don't know how to answer this question because the assumption is a little off. See, for me, my dad and his dad were not in our lives. It's bad, I know, but that's the truth in our lifestyle. My grandfather, his dad, I don't know why he wasn't around. Was he dead or was he just gone? I'm not really sure. But he wasn't involved in his life, and his dad was Dominican. So all he basically carried was a last name. And then he took after his mother's side. And go down to my dad's side. My dad, his mom, my dad's mom, was 14 years old. They were kids. So it wasn't all that expected he'd be involved since he was a kid. So, I mean, like, of course, he wasn't influenced by either his Dominican or Black and Native American heritage. Then for me, my dad died before I was born. So I got nothing. Like, I didn't get anything. And on top of it, it was like, one, my mother didn't really know all the heritage in my dad's side. Like, she didn't know the Cajun, she didn't know the Creole, she didn't know they were from Louisiana. She did not know that the other side had any Native American in that side. She did say that they had Dominican way back. That's all I knew. So for me, the way I was raised, she always was like, well, he was probably black because he's Dominican, and so she didn't really see it as anything, different, and she didn't really raise me that way, really. In fact, like, when I was growing up, my mother always raised me to believe I was Black American. And that makes sense because my mother's side is Black American. And so that's the culture I grew up in. But on top of that, it's like, a lot of the time people think Black Americans grow up in a certain way. So, like, we'll have a certain cuisine, right? We're supposed to eat, like, soul food or something. Okay, yeah. But there's a thing about this. My mother's side are, oh yeah, in part, I forgot to mention, they are part Swedish too, but that's way, way back. But the fact that they're part Swedish actually, I think, indicates why they have such long-ass roots in the Midwest. And their culture isn't quite like the, like, Southern black culture. It's different. Or the Northeast black culture even. Like, Northeast black culture sometimes has more to do with, like, some things that happened in the early 1900s. And I don't even have any heritage there, and I don't have any heritage on my mom's side from the South. So, for me, I mean, I didn't really get exposed to that kind of culture. And on top of it, my mother and my mother's mothers and her father's side were socially, like, a little bit more, they're socially conservative. And then on top of it, they were also more economically stable. And they lived in a different type of area. So, I mean, the way she was raised was different than a lot of other people. And then the way I was raised was kind of like different. Like, I grew up not around a lot of people of other races, which is so weird. People would always think that if you have a black mother, you'll grow up around a lot of black people. I didn't really grow up around a lot of black people. My mother was black. That was basically it. Like, before 10, I did see her family sometimes. After 10, we never saw them again, really. And even before 10, it was like 2 times a year. And even then, like I said, the type of food we ate wasn't really all that different. It was just general Midwestern food. And so that's generally the culture that I was exposed to. Like, different things that people basically, like, different food and different recipes that people have. I've always been like, what is that? Like, I didn't know what it was when I was like 18, 19. And I learned all about, like, some southern food some black people eat. It's interesting. I would never eat it because I don't eat that spicy of food. I like to eat less spicy food because I come from the Midwest. So, yeah. Back to the question, was coming from different backgrounds. I didn't really I came from 2 different backgrounds, but I wasn't really exposed to it. So, I don't know, like, was it different? Not while I was growing up. Like, when I was a kid, nobody really caused any trouble. At one point when I was, like, in school, because I didn't go to school all my childhood, except when I was in kindergarten, they would sometimes call me Indian. Sometimes, like part Native American or things of that nature. And I always was like, what are you talking about? Like, you kind of weird. And then now I understand what they were talking about. Before I never understood. I was just like, what do you mean? When I got older, like when I was in my teens, my mom always said my dad had a face that kind of looked Native American to her. So, yeah, I mean, like, that was the only times when anybody ever said anything when I was, like, a kid. But, like, when I was, like, 18, that's when things started to show for me. I don't know, maybe I should answer this in the next... No, I'll answer this in this question. Yeah, but things started to show in the, way people received me when I was, like, 18 by black Americans. I didn't realize it all that time because, I don't know, I grew up in Michigan, and Michigan, we have a lot of mixed people as it is. So, I mean, if you're mixed, if you're black, but you look more like mixed people, it's nothing like that shocking. I grew up kind of like, I'm told I was black, my dad's side was light skinned. That's basically all I was taught. That my grandma is light skinned, and then the further you went in on that family, the lighter they got. So So that's all I was taught, really. And honestly, among my mother's family, almost all my cousins were the same way. Like, where they have a black parent, like my mother, and then they have a parent, like my dad. Like, like, there's light skin and, like, whiter skin and white passing people, and that's the other side of the family. So I didn't feel like I was left out. In fact, I felt like I was pretty black compared to them because most of my cousins on that side kind of look more mixed. Some of them actually have a whiter hue. So for me, I mean, I never felt like I wasn't gonna fit in. And when I was 18, it was a big shock because I was around black people who were not used to me or used to people like me, I guess, or they were used to me, but they were only used to me through mixed people, but they weren't used to me through, like, actual lighter skinned black people who just look a little different, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah. Then I often got the, like, what are you mixed with? Or some days I just got, what are you? And that would just be a punch in the stomach when things like that would happen, because it would be like, I'm thinking, like, what are you talking about? We're the same thing. And you just said, what are you? As if you had no clue what I was. It's very uncomfortable when you believe all you've been raised is that you were just black with one side that's lighter, with one side that's darker, but, we're all black. So that was where I got a lot of confusion. To answer the next question, moving on. What backgrounds do you embrace the most? I embrace the black side, I guess. Because that's how I was raised. I mean, I was raised to see myself as black. And then I actually didn't find out about the Creole or Cajun heritage until I was 19 years old. I contacted my dad's sister, and she started explaining how her mother, my father's mother as well, my grandmother, was half Creole, half Cajun, and that Creoles are black, white, Native American, and North African, and they have a little Asian in them too. But anyway, and Cajun is predominantly white and like little bits of black and Native American in there as well. So for me, I mean, like, when she told me that, it kind of explains some stuff. I had answers for people when they asked me questions, because before I was just like, well, I'm just black. I have Dominican way back, I assumed, because it was like my dad's dad was Dominican. So I mean, like, that's way back. And considering Dominicans are at least part black, I mean, for me, it was just like, well, what? It's not really anything. And when I would tell them that I was part Dominican, they would just be like, what? Like, that's, like, they would have something else in mind, and they still would feel like I don't fit what they had in mind. So yeah, that was part of it. And then the next question was, have you ever been treated different? I mean, teased for being different? Oh yeah, all the time. Like, Spanish people would call me Moses Egypt, they'd call me Egyptian slaves, they would call me, a foreigner, things like, this isn't your native country, just racist stuff like that. And I gotten it from everyone. Like, I get it from black people, I get it from white people, I think I might even get it from Hispanic people. I'm not. Sometimes, maybe. I'm not really sure about that, but I get it from basically a lot of different types of people who are usually a bit xenophobic. It's always offensive to me because it's like, hey, I'm just as American as you, if not more American than you. Especially when a white person tries to say that, because I'm like, your ancestors just got over here. You're trying to say I'm a foreigner? Like, come on now. So, yeah, that would be a yes. As far as being teased for being different. I don't really see myself as really different, honestly. I mean, like, we all have a little something else, and I mean, I don't know. I wasn't really raised in those communities, really. But at the same time, even though I wasn't raised in those communities, I did actually end up learning the languages. Like, I know French. Je parle français. Un petit peu. I learned it through 7 through 10. From 7 through 10. And then I learned bits and bits and bits of Spanish. Little bits and bits. Like, my mother speaks Spanish. So she taught me some when I was 6, and then when I got older in high school, my mother would help me through Spanish classes. So I know some Spanish as well. But besides that, have I ever been ashamed of being multiracial? No, I was just unaware of it mostly. Like, I didn't really, know that I was, multiracial. I mean, I kind of just saw myself as Black American. And so, yeah. And I still do see myself as Black American. If you follow me, you already know that. I mean, I identify as Black Americans. That's what I was raised. And plus, my dad's side of the family, I mean, parts of it is Black American. His father's mother is part Black American. Mostly Black American. So, I mean, that is Black American over there. And then on the other side, well, they're American at least. Might not be of the same culture, but who really, I mean, I don't know. To me, I'm comfortable with it. We're all American. That's what I like about my family. Do you feel that being mixed has its benefits? Sometimes I guess you can fall under the radar. Sometimes it's helpful in some ways. Like, for one example, you can appeal to different types of people in certain avenues of work. A job that I have now, it's really beneficial being biracial. Not biracial, but multiracial. And for me, I feel like I could be anything, like, among different people, and I can relate with different types of people. And that is, I guess, a benefit. But with that said, I mean, I would never, try to distance myself at all from any other, from my Black American side. It's just not my thing. I prefer my Black American side. And that's the next question. Which backgrounds do you embrace the most? Yeah, obviously, I just answered that as my Black American side. It's the only side that I actually knew of. But like I said, growing up, my cultural influence is different from a lot of other people who are Black American, and how they see being Black American as. is different to them than what I was raised Black American is to me from my mother who is Black American. So, yeah, I've always identified as Black American. I've always sided with that side because that's all I've ever really known. Um, there is one thing that my mother's side would do, and I kind of like keep up with, and that's our tradition. We have a certain tradition. We do certain things that have to do with other parts of our heritage. But I don't know. I still think I generally just embrace my Black American side. I hardly know even what Dominicans eat, to be honest. I mean, I know some things that Creole people eat, but that's more some of the stuff I just like. Other stuff I don't even like, I would never try. So, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to hold back a sneeze. And, okay, last two. So it says, what makes being multiracial a beautiful thing? I guess, for me, I think all races are beautiful. Especially as a woman. I definitely don't really see it as any difference really there. I mean, I just think every race is beautiful, so I mean, I don't think anyone's more beautiful than the next. In fact, like, honestly, for me, growing up, I always thought I was less attractive because I didn't look as black as my mother. Like, my mother, growing up in this, is why for me it's a bit antithetical to like how people say like the whole colors and idea of things where lighter is taught to be better or lighter is taught to be more beautiful in the Black American community. I didn't really grow up in the Black American community that much anyway. I grew up around a lot of white people, and then I grew up with some Hispanic people after about 11. But all the while growing up, whether it was white, Hispanic, or black, I was always taught that I needed to look more like my mother. My mother is like, my mother is like the same complexion as Gabrielle Union, but she looks more African than a Gabrielle Union. So for me, I mean, I just always thought the key to beauty was to look more African, to look darker, rather than to look lighter. I mean, lighter, it shows more of your scars in your face, and I don't know, it just seems less feminine to me, being lighter skin. So for me, I mean, I've never thought it was more beautiful, actually. But I have always thought there's things that I have that I like in a sense of harmony more so with my other heritage, kind of, and that can make it beautiful. But I mean, personally, what I was taught all my life was that I was kind of like the lesser of my mother because I was not as like her. So, I mean, from my point of view, I don't know. I never really found much beauty in it, but I think everybody's beautiful of any race, so I don't really think being mixed makes you more beautiful or anything of that nature. Next question. any advice to someone who struggles with their multiracial identity? In my situation, for me, the best thing was when I got answers. I was just walking around not having any answers. I felt like I was lost. Because I mean, like, you know one thing about yourself all your life, and then people come to you saying, is that really true? All your life, I mean, all your adulthood, and questioning what you were raised to believe, it is a little bit of a struggle when things like that happen, especially when no one prepares you for that, because my family didn't prepare me for that. They just kind of like, were just like, well, you know, you're black, and then I go out, and black people would always be like, what are you mixed with? What are you? Depending on the situation. And it's just like, for me, it was just a big struggle for me because I always got a lot of pressure back from black Americans in that respect. And I don't know, it was just uncomfortable for me in that respect. So the best thing in my situation, or someone in my situation where they don't actually know their other side of their family, is just to get answers and be open, you know, to different possibilities. And, you know, just don't be so like for me, like starting out, I was a bit hostile when people would say things like that because I felt like they were kind of questioning me, and I kind of felt insulted by it. So I mean, like, just a good thing to keep an open mind, basically. So yeah, that's the end of this video, and I enjoy doing it. Alright, thanks. Those are your answers. Goodbye.